Hi everyone, and welcome to the American Academy of Religion here in San Antonio. My name is Adam Erickson, and I'm here with Joel Hodge. Hi, Joel.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, very good.
Joel is part of the cover contingency from Australia. Thank you for flying so far away from home.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, are you? I mean, you've been here for a couple of days.
A few days, yeah.
Yeah, San Antonio's treating you okay?
It's very good. Texas is beautiful.
Love the steaks.
Oh, the meat.
The meat,
oh,
Texas
the
meat
barbecue.
is awesome.
It's so good.
It is. So I wanted to talk with Joel today because Joel is the editor of a new book on Rene, Girard, and Raymund Schwager.
Yes.
Would you want to hold
That's
up
right.
the book?
This is the book. It's the correspondence between the two of them, between 1974 and 1991.
One of the things that I love about this book and that you highlighted in the talk that you gave about it is their growing friendship, which is really a powerful experience of the theory because Rene spent a lifetime warning us about how friendships can easily fall into a pattern of rivalry. I'm reminded of his book on Shakespeare, and he talks about the two men of Verona, and here are the best friends, and it's because they're best friends that they fall into rivalry because of mimetic desire. But here we have this budding friendship where they encourage one another and they avoid this rivalry.
Yeah.
How do they do it?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. It's one of the big questions in the correspondence, but you can see over the course of the correspondence how they become much more intimately involved with each other. Their friendship has grown. It's a real example of the ideas that they've been discussing. They've put it into practice in their living. So it's really astonishing to see it through the correspondence. And even from very early on, they talk about the way in which they are relying on each other. That Girard himself feels isolated sometimes because his ideas are not being accepted, and that Raymund Schwager has taken an interest, has understood his project, and he's just so happy that someone understands him, and vice versa, that Schwager, for Schwager, that Girard has come up with these ideas. They make so much sense to him. They help open up so many aspects of human experience of Christianity. So that's where it starts. But then, over the course of their correspondence and their meetings together during this time as well, they develop this personal friendship. So it goes beyond the academic ideas to a personal friendship where they put the ideas, I think, into practice, almost in a spontaneous kind of way, organic. It's an organic kind of process where Girard humbly, I think, in his own way, is humbly engaging in dialogue with Schwager and learning from him, and the same for Schwager as well, that he's learning from Girard and wants to take him as a model but not a rival. And it's a really beautiful thing.
Two things come to mind. Girard says that counterintuitive to our kind of modern understanding of conflict, that conflict doesn't stem from our differences, but from our similarities. Were there enough? Girard thinks of himself more as an anthropologist than a theologian. Schwager thinks of himself as a theologian, not so much an anthropologist. So is that difference maybe one of the reasons that they were able to avoid?
It's a good point. I mean, I think they complemented each other. Girard says this in the correspondence, that he's working in the secular realm, in the realm of anthropology and such, and Schwager is working in theology, and Girard doesn't see himself as a theologian, but that Schwager can help him in that area, and help develop his ideas and promote his ideas in that area. So I think there's a complementarity to their relationship in that respect. But there's also this time in Girard's development of his thought that Schwager is assisting Girard as he comes to more deeply engage with Christian ideas and biblical ideas. So at the same time that there's this idea that they're working in complementary fields, different fields, Girard is also engaging in the Christian field more and there's a lot of crossover of interests, and I think that helps also bind them together because of their shared interests.
One of the things that's really interesting is that Schwager helps Girard with the understanding of sacrifice, and gets Girard to this point where he realizes, boy, I really got this wrong, and he completely changes his view.
Yeah.
That's a great model for how to correct someone
Right.
when they're wrong. I mean, I
Right.
don't want to use the word correct,
Right.
but what was it about Girard? What was it about their relationship where Girard was able to stay in dialogue with this person when they disagreed
Yeah.
on this very important topic?
Well, I think they've got common ground to begin with. They both appreciate each other and what they're doing. Schwager really deeply appreciates Girard and his thought, and that comes through very clearly. And Girard is very keen to read Schwager and what he's writing and doing as well. So they appreciate each other's work. They've got a common ground of ideas that they're working with. But they do have disagreements. And it's interesting, Schwager poses questions and ideas to Girard. Girard sometimes, he responds to those and sometimes makes a convincing response, and Schwager accepts it. And vice versa. Schwager has some good points, and sometimes it takes Girard a while, like with the sacrifice thing, but eventually he comes around and he's willing to give up his position. But it took a few years for the sacrifice one to really be given up, because Girard was very much invested in keeping sacrifice only for violent sacrifice. And eventually, I think because Girard is open to being questioned, to evaluating new evidence, to thinking through new ideas, and so therefore he's willing to shift his position. He's not completely intransient or anything like that.
It's such a great model for how to be in dialogue with
Yeah.
people. It's
Yeah.
powerful. The other thing that comes to mind is you highlighted a quote from Schwager saying something like, I hope I don't fall into rivalry
Right.
with my model.
Right.
And this is one of the most important things I think that mimetic theory teaches us is about how not to fall into rivalry,
Yeah.
is to be open
Yeah.
about our admiration for the other,
Right.
and not conceal it, because that's when we get feelings of resentment.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a beautiful quote. He says, and this is at the end of one of his early letters, permit me to finish with a very personal remark. I thank God in my prayers that he has given you, that is Girard, this wisdom. At the same time, this prayer is the means for me to avoid falling into an absurd rivalry by taking you as model, and that's on page 33. So Schwager has that very deep spiritual sense and reflection. He's a Jesuit, so their Ignatian spiritual tradition, contemplative, very personal reflection, and he realizes some of the movements in his own spiritual life that are happening, and he's honest with Girard about that, and he wants to maintain a friendship, not a rivalry, which is extraordinary considering the academic context they're in. You know, he's not interested. Either of them could be very much interested in academic fame and getting notoriety, etc. But both of them are interested in truth, in getting to the bottom of things. Ultimately, they share that passion, and also in friendship, in a real friendship, that the ideas shouldn't take away from the personal friendship and such. So Schwager, I think, is spiritually astute to what's going on in his own life, and he opens up about it. And Girard also is responsive in the way in which he says he relies on Schwager, etc. So it's a two-way friendship, and it really does model the ideas of mimetic desire and rivalry, and shows the positive form where you are imitating each other in a positive way and having common interests that lead towards truth and friendship, etc., rather than on the negative side of rivalry, which is often something Girard gets accused of, in focusing on that negative side. But in his personal life, he's very much focused on the positive side, and that often gets forgotten, I think.
That's a beautiful thing. Joel, thank you for talking with us about the friendship between Rene Girard and Raymund Schwager, and I've learned so much about friendship in our conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you for being with us.
Thank you.